Love is in the air, and it is thick, so thick you could cut it with a knife. For we are taking a look at Fog of Love from Hush Hush Productions. In this game, you'll be playing as two characters in a scenario, falling in love, and hopefully by the end of the scenario, possibly in a relationship. Or maybe breaking up. You will start off with a character. There is a male or female side, so for whatever gender you desire. Then you also get jobs as well as features and some secret traits that are helping with scoring at the end of the game. After you get all those points, you're actually going to be putting these little chips down, which you'll be adding more later on, that sort of tell what kind of person you are. Are you more extroverted or introverted, sensitive, or are you more deceitful? That will be up to what you play here and what gets played later on through the chapters and the scenes.
That's right. The main flow of the game is that you're going to be playing through scenes of chapters. 3 chapters per scenario, and they can have different numbers of scenes in between them. And each scene is a card that the players take turns playing from their hands. So I would take a card from my hand right here. Let's say we want a trip to Italy. Place it right there. Pretty great card for people to have. Then they're going to say sometimes they require both players to make a choice. Sometimes just one of the players makes a choice. Or there are different kinds of scenes. Some of them may affect the next scene that takes place. Some of them may be secrets. Secrets actually go underneath the board and may or may not be revealed before the end of the game takes place. So there are all kinds of different scenes you can play with, but mainly they're going to be going right out here in this main area. And for instance, this one says both choose. We can decide to go to Italy for a month, a week is fine, only have time for a weekend trip, or I don't really have time, I'm over my head in deadlines. Now, usually they have effects, and usually those effects are better if you both match. There are some exceptions. Sometimes you want to have a specific, like one person says A, one person says B, but usually it's a thematic choice.
Yes, but you actually secretly decide with these chips that have A through D, because you always have at least up to 4 options, and you'll each put one down.
Right.
I didn't actually look, so
so let's see, and then we'd reveal at the same time. Oh no, we had an issue. So we would both lose a heart. That icon stands for your satisfaction level, which is measured like here on your cards as you can go around. In this case, we would have 0, so nothing would happen.
But regardless, depending on your answer, you're going to add chips to that. So for example, I chose the one that would add 1 to the upper end of discipline, while you would actually add to the other end.
That's right. And the reason that that is important is because your traits are really your end game goals for the scenario. So in this case, what I want to happen in order for me to get more points is to have a shared value of 5 green arrows in the up direction. So over to the gentleness side, I want between the two of us for there to be 5 points here. Now,
5 more up than their bottom.
That's right. Anything at the bottom subtracts. So you need to, if there's 5 here and 5 here, it's a net of 0, so that doesn't matter.
However, some of them could be individual goals in which I only care that I have, for example, 3 up in the extroversion. It doesn't matter how many you have there. This is personal. It's just me.
Yeah, some things are a little bit more selfish. So essentially, that's what's going on. You're trying to work together, and you cannot tell each other what your goals are. You can't show your cards. You're trying to figure that out based on the choices the other person makes.
If Jonathan were to see me really piling up in the curiosity down there, for example, he might be like, that's probably one of his goals.
But, you know, maybe my goal is the opposite of that. That could create some conflict.
And there are cards that could be, say, that try to guess one of your partner's traits, or just change your own. And if you guess right, you can change it. So that could be one of the ways if you don't want them doing that anymore, because, you know, you should always change the people you love.
Yeah, the traits do represent, you know, real things. Like my character in this instance is kind and just.
Yes, mine's ambitious, secure, and intense.
Yeah, so really good matchup, I think. So those can change as time goes on, just like in real life, etc.
And the scenes are actually divided into 3 decks. There's sweet, serious, and drama. Sweet tends to be not too many roar, but they're sweet and nice. Usually nothing bad happens. Serious is maybe a bit more interesting, when drama is sort of like high risk, high reward, and probably a lot more secrets. There's also a lot of interrupt cards. Sometimes you can play something like, if you made a mix up here, I could be like, what I meant to say was, in essence, change my answer. And there are some that will actually refer to these special events. I think, yeah, they're called special events. I won't spoil what they are, but they're sort of things you could think about in a relationship that you don't do unless you do something else at first.
Yeah, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to reach the finale after going through all the chapters, and both players will have destinies cards, and they're going to choose one of those destinies, and you may choose the same one, you may not. You don't have to. It could be helpful if you're both trying to get the same thing, but you don't know necessarily what the other person is doing. That's something you may try to figure out. Various cards will let you look at one of their cards, etc.
Maybe some might say you can't discard the love team destiny, so you know that maybe they're more likely to be playing that.
Right.
And sometimes you can get things from your discard pile. It's always face down, so you won't know. Or switch it around, so that's in one way that you can sort of guess from the scenes they choose to play.
Mm-hmm.
But they come in two flavors.
They sure do.
Ones that you want to stay in the relationship, or there are ones where you will break up.
Yeah, so at the end of the game, they'll have different conditions. Maybe you want something on these arrows over here, or maybe you want both people to have a certain number of satisfaction or not, or to have both be similar to each other. Different kinds of goals, and if you fulfill that, then you do. If you don't, then that's the end of your story either way, and you kind of play it out. That's really one of the big things that we haven't really gotten to, that if you didn't pick up on it, a big aspect of the game is role-playing.
Right.
They really want you to inhabit these characters.
Some of the cards will actually have you input something like, what is your fondest memory? And it'll say, tell them about something disgusting, or tell them about an achievement.
Something disgusting is your fondest
I think
memory?
that actually was on that card. I know one of those. One was our personal favorite of mine, because I know, luckily I didn't get it given to me, was to tell someone that they need to get rid of their collection of something.
Yeah, so there can be some hard choices, and the idea is you're not playing this as yourselves, you're playing as whatever you were dealt.
You mean you don't have perfect teeth, cute internet celebrity with hairy armpits?
I take it back. That's me. That's me to a T. Yeah, and based on what your goals are. So, and it kind of works out the way you would think it would in character, even if you're just playing by the mechanics. This one has me wanting to have more traits in the kind aspect. So usually the choices that make this happen are things that would make me a kinder person. A really big part of the game is reading each other. It's about trying to figure out the information you have.
Common ground.
Finding common ground, and we weren't great at
the
that.
end.
Yeah. Another thing that's really cool about the game is it comes with a tutorial scenario.
Yeah, you actually open up. You don't shuffle anything. It pretty much walks you through how to play it. So you can literally just open it up, put it down, find who you want to play with, whether it be a friend or someone a bit more special, and you just go. You don't have to read a rule book. You don't have to be like, hold on, let me just get to this page. It will slowly, so you'll do each step together, which makes it really easy to get into the game very fast.
It's very cool. It's definitely a nice thing, especially for, I think, a game that will appeal to more casual gamers, people who haven't tried a lot of board games, for them to be able to not have to read a rule book. There's a great little write-up in the instruction manual from the designer about how he made this game for his wife because she loved romantic comedies, but there wasn't really anything in board games to represent that. And I think the reason this game has gotten so much acclaim, it's been out for a year or two now, is because I really do think it does something very innovative. It does not feel like any other board game. It's a genre that outside of role-playing games, and usually like even then indie role-playing games, that really doesn't exist in a board game setting. So I think it's pretty cool and pretty remarkable that it's so successful.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. This is actually, we should mention the second, I don't know if it's second edition. Actually,
they do in the book, they say second edition, yeah.
Where pretty much the difference is, if you notice by the cover in the back, they sort of revamped some of the wording on the cards, and they added 2 new covers, one with 2 guys, one with 2 girls. So you can pretty much get the cover that you think fits more of what you see in a relationship. We went with 2 guys mostly because, 1, I wanted to make sure I got the ones with the new cards and stuff, and 2, they look much happier.
We wanted a happy couple. In our experience, the one that we played with the heterosexual couple was the worst.
It was. To be fair, that was the one when we got breakup cards, so we were like, we sort of were very mean to each other.
That's another kind of weird aspect of it, is with those breakup cards, you can choose to actively go against your partner. And it's not like, so generally it's a cooperative game, but it could become a semi-co-op.
This is a semi-co-op game.
Depending on the scenario.
Yeah. Well, no, even then.
I guess you're right.
Afterwards, you will throw those cards in, usually. And with expansions, too. This came with, there's 4 scenarios in there, in essence, that you can go through. And if you play with the breakup cards, it adds this sort of almost like a poker aspect, where you sort of have to like see how they discard. You have to be much more careful of their destiny cards and try to think, okay, if I notice that he's putting a lot in the distrustful, I know that's usually the heartbreaker. So maybe, which actually happened in the game, I was like, I'm going to make sure he can't succeed in Heartbreaker.
Yeah, it can be...
You're going to love me.
It can be intense. It can be a lot of things. You definitely, I think, want to go into this game with a healthy attitude. They recommend very strongly, do not play as yourselves. You're playing as characters, because I think...
And so what we did, because even though we had a bad relationship there, it was still a lot of fun, I think, when we had that.
I mean, it was very funny.
And reading some of the cards, too, just like... depending on like what things you had to come up why this would make sense or wouldn't, and it's just, if you like that kind of stuff where when you are role playing more, this game will fit that really well. And but it has that, with this, it is still very gamey. There was moments when I'm like, I have certain cards in my hand and I'm like, I don't want to play this because I think you're trying to fight me there, so I didn't want to play to give you the choice to take that.
Right.
Sometimes, things like that.
I will say that there are some cards that come up, and sometimes, like maybe these are a couple of examples where you look at the bottom of the card and like, there's so many possible effects, and it can be a little intimidating. I think that if you're not into reading that too much, just saying that I think it can be like, sometimes you look at them and it's like, wow, that's a lot of numbers. I do think that if you aren't into that, it's possible to play this as a pure role-playing experience.
With a couple random cards, like there are some that double values and stuff, I actually usually ignored that part. I only looked at the top part. Because I was just like, we're going to see where this goes.
Oh, there you go. There you have it.
I thought that was a lot more fun.
I definitely did not do that.
The one issue I think that did come up for us is sometimes with your cards in hand, you have these certain traits that you want. And sometimes there's one when both of us wanted to do stuff in gentleness. I don't remember if we were both in the same direction, but regardless, neither of us seemed to get cards for it. So that could be one of the things that's maybe a bit more annoying, because it's not really like you're not playing your character right, it's just you didn't get the chance to be kind or a jerk.
And I think that the designer of the game would probably, this is just speculation, but I think the spirit of the game is that, like real life, sometimes opportunities don't come up.
That's absolutely true.
That's how it is.
It fits the role-playing. It's just, I guess, part of me who still enjoyed the role-playing just as much as the game. The game, that's where the game maybe fell a little bit.
Let's get to know our crits and misses of Fog of Love. Crits. It's a great marriage, pun intended, of theme and mechanics. It does something truly unique and innovative within the board game genre. Every game, there are new opportunities for interesting role-playing experiences that could be serious, dramatic, or often just very funny.
Win or lose, you're going to have a fun time role-playing your characters and seeing how they react to each other's choices.
The components are well thought out, well designed, they look pretty on your table, they match the theme of the game, and the box provides you a great place to store them all easily. It's a game that truly makes an effort to be inclusive to different kinds of people, different backgrounds, different personalities, and even those who are new to the board game scene.
With the tutorial set up as it is, you don't actually need to read the rulebook beforehand. You can pretty much just open the game, set up the decks, and play right there. Let's see what drama is in our misses. This does put role-playing first, so be sure the person you are playing with understands it's about the journey, not the destination.
The game walks a very fine line, I think, between the role-playing and more abstract gaming aspects of it, so just make sure you're on the same page with your partner when you play.
On a gaming aspect, it can be really annoying to keep drawing scene cards and never getting the symbol you need for your traits, whether it's for your own goals or if you think what your partner needs.
There may be some options that come up as you go that allow you to change your traits, so that will help you with some of those issues. And at the end of the day, it really is just about the role-playing experience, and sometimes that gaming aspect can suffer.
Warning! They tell you not to play as yourselves for a reason. This can lead to fights, arguments, and possibly actual breakups.
I think that if you let this bleed into your real life, it could be dangerous. You may not want to let actual partners play together. Fog of Love, it has been out for a little while now, and it's gotten plenty of acclaim, so I don't think you need us to tell you that it is a very satisfying experience. It's one that I know the two of us were perfectly happy to play multiple times in a row. Because the game isn't super intensive, it's easy to just jump into different scenarios and have a good time. And those scenarios, even though they have specific things involved in the storyline and different chapters, are very replayable. I don't think there's really no reason you can't just jump back in, change up your traits and features, and enjoy them again. It really is a unique, fun experience that we liked a lot.
Yeah, the base comes with, I think we said before, 4 scenarios, and I think as this video, there's already an expansion either coming out or already out, so in case you want to add more stuff to there. And of course, there's some promos too that we've already seen a little bit for ourselves playing. I'm excited for them to one day make a solo mode where you are a single person who has been lonely for too long and Valentine's Day is coming up.
God, I wish they would come out with that solo mode. Man, that's what I want. But if you have a good other person that you usually play a lot of games with, or even as I know a lot of people have a live-in girlfriend or a wife that they play a lot of their games with.
Or boyfriend and husband.
Yeah, so you're right, of course. I want to be inclusive as well. This, I think, is a great option for that. It's super fun. It is 17 plus on the box. There are some racier things in there, so maybe that's something else to keep in mind too if you want to keep it clean. Probably don't play it with your kids. That'd be a little awkward. Fog of Love, though, we definitely recommend it. Check it out. And it's out there right now. Let us know in the comments what you think. Have you ever broken up with anybody or gotten together with them because of this game? Did you find love through Fog of Love? Or do you have any other thoughts on this or any other games you think we should talk about in the future? Talk to us in the comments or Facebook, Twitter, etc. Until then, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was a Roll for Crit review. Hey, if you liked this video, then like this video and subscribe to our channel for more board game content.
Would you kindly do it now?